Welcome, my friends, and to those who are new, I am so glad that you're here, and for those who've been with me, welcome back. And I wanted to make another video about shadows. I'd made one previously, but I just basically skimmed the surface about them. And I wanted to get a bit more personal, because we all have shadows. And typically when this topic comes up, it's something that, well, the average person, like you and I, tend to shy away from. It's not really the most pleasant of things to talk about, but so critically necessary if you want to become a whole person and follow and live your life purpose. So in essence, I wanted to make the first big differentiation between what dominant society defines as a shadow versus what we define on as a shadow on the native spirituality, which is the Good Red Road. And so typically with Western mindset, the shadow is the evil part of the self. It is the part that is bad and needs to be controlled, the beast, the Mr. I guess it'd be a Dr. Jekyll, and this would be like the Mr. Hyde part of you. And it can make it very difficult because it creates this internal struggle and not a place that I'd like to live in. So I'd like to share with you from my culture something a little different of what a shadow is by our perspective. The shadow is created from the vulnerable parts of yourself, and that includes your inner child. So what happens is that whenever there's an injury, which again, to the soul, to the spirit, which can include body and mind, this vulnerable side of you, and especially if the inner child has gotten wounded in any way, begins to create reactions to survive, to defend itself. It creates these shadows. But if these responses become behaviors, then these behaviors become the proverbial inner demons that we all tend to carry. And the not so fun side effect of this is that the more we try to avoid addressing this part of ourselves, then the more prolific and difficult these inner demons can be to overcome. So, what starts off as something as maybe a couple of the shadows generating these inner demons can carry on not only within this incarnation, but also from previous incarnations. And when you look behind you, it could seem like you're running the Boston Marathon. Good news, though. Because these are actually parts of yourself, and they're not to be vilified. Yes, they can look ugly, but they came from ugly circumstances. They came from parts where you or some part of you felt that you were in threat, that you needed to defend yourself in some way, is the reasons as to why there is the need to sit down with this. Now, I want to explain something else that also could seem to be the most undesirable thing on the planet, which is the moments that you are with your life in flux. And we've been talking about this a lot since this is that year of flux, the year of wind and water, is when these shadows and these inner demons just seem to come right in your face at the worst possible time. You're thinking, I can't handle one more thing. Why is all this stuff coming up? Again, these are parts of your own soul, part of your own spirit that wish to be healed. So your spirit longs to be whole, longs to be loved and being made complete. So when your life is in a state of total transition and change, then this part of you, which yes, is as equally connected to the higher self of you as the part that you like, your light side, if you will, knows that this is the opportune time. This is the time to jump in, because if there was any moment that you're more than likely to change your behavior, to change your perspective, switch your surroundings so that this part can be healed, it will be at that moment, not when things are honky-dory and stagnant stable. So that's why I wanted to share the mechanics of that. It's like, oh my gosh, Skyfire is a question I get a lot with helping people. Why does it happen then? And this is why. And it makes sense if you think about it. The universe is a very efficient place. So in order to be able to begin to heal these shadows and the inner demons that are the children of these shadows, I'm going to suggest something that might seem a little radical to you. And it's to sit with them. Yeah, not run from them, not avoid them, because the more you do, the stronger they become. And obviously I'm going to put a little caveat to this. If you find that some of these shadows have come from profound trauma, or something just instinctively you know it's something that you should not package yourself, please, please, please seek professional guidance, seek professional assistance, right? But for on the average, for something that is perhaps not so profoundly shattering as a deep trauma, I'm going to say the garden variety inner demons, if you will. Sit down with them, have a conversation with them in the sense that understanding what is it, what was the shadow that generated it? What was the event? What part of you got wounded? Whether it was that inner child or a part of your spirit or psyche or body. Usually it's a combination thereupon that got wounded. The shadow is the embodiment. It could be the embodiment for the need for protection. It could be the embodiment for the need to not lose your voice or not to get lost even with all of this. And the demon that is a child of the shadow is that dysfunctional or toxic or unhelpful response to trying to defend that part of you. So in beginning to understand how this inner demon got generated, what was the shadow that it sprang from? And then from that, tracing it back to the part of you that got injured, you can then, with intelligence and infinite compassion, approach this area of yourself with, again, with your spirit wanting to be whole, helping to connect with that part of yourself that feels lost or frightened, and helping for that part of you to connect through you or with others that are helping you to that which is secure and warm. Then that shadow that got triggered, because this is what the demon is defending, is the shadow. So in other words, if you're trying to overcome these shadows and help to make friends with these inner demons of yours, yeah, I know it sounds weird, but bear with me, you have to address what that demon was trying to defend. So in other words, if, say, you feel that in your history, the part that got injured was that your voice was taken away from you, that you were never listened to, taken advantage of, and that shadow of that sense of invisibility that is so toxic came. So the demon that sprang from this example, say, is one of the need to be right and loud, because you will never be left in that position of being silenced. So if you're trying to overcome that, then understand what the demon was trying to do was to defend that part of you that felt silenced. Then begin to work with it. And instead of perhaps being loud or that need to deflect and know everything, so again, just for sake of example, you begin to use humor. You begin to introduce parts of showing that you can be open to different thoughts. And with the idea that you are allowing for that demon to, instead of having that aspect that has caused you so much trouble, to defend you, that shadow of, I don't want to become invisible, then allowing that demon to participate so that it loses its edge and begins to develop a golden sheen. You could introduce humor. You can introduce curiosity. And my favorite tool of all time, discernment, coupled with wisdom. So as you begin to do this, this demon that defends the shadows can become this golden being, or sometimes the Buddhists will call it golden shadow, that still defends you from feeling invisible. And in turn, through time, helps to heal that part of your inner soul that got hurt to begin with. So by doing this, by actually sitting, and that's what I mean by befriending your demons, because the minute you try to say, no, I'm not going to deal with you, this is the bad part of me, etc., then this demon becomes more entrenched, perhaps even into your next several incarnations. Have fun. I would rather you don't. But you sit and you understand what happened. Then you can, again, with intelligence, begin to seek the knowledge and or the help that you need, your body begins to release that part of its cellular memory that held on to this. And sometimes these demons can be generational too. So I'll probably do a future video on that as well. And then from a spiritual standpoint, doing those practices that help to bring you peace, that help for you to connect with the Creator and the universe in such a manner that you can feel that you're not alone and that you're not in the dark and that you are a beautiful being, just like all the stars that shine in the heavens and what you see, around you. That beauty is within you as you see the beauty that is around you. So that's what I thought was very, very important, was this, we're going to be talking as we go into the future together about living your greater purpose. And there's going to be a whole variety of topics that many of you have been kind enough to share with me. But for today, I thought that if we address this aspect of learning to dance, with our shadows, of learning to be able to sit with these inner demons so that they can be converted into these golden beings that help us, then, only then, can you truly have the freedom of feeling that you're becoming whole and being able to move forward with your life purpose or whatever it is that you're seeking to create in your life without that sensation of having shackles tied to your ankles and to your wrists. So again, my friends, I thank you so much. And again, if you found this video useful, please, I would really be grateful to you to give it a like. Please, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. And please, by all means, before I forget, for those of you who may not know, I do have a newsletter. I write the Flow of the River every week in addition to the different offerings that I'll be having. So you can find that on my website, eagleskyfire.com. And I'd love to hear from you. So with that, I would say to you, my dearest ones, Wanishi, maybe you can make a nice quiet place. Usually when I'm sitting chatting with my inner demons to have them become golden beings, I enjoy having my cup of tea. Take that time, honor yourself, heal that part of yourself that is crying to be made whole, that is thirsting to live in joy and in light like the rest of you. So until the next time, once again, Wanishi, bright blessings. See you then.